Hi. You know, one of the things I always wanted to do was be one of those people who could walk into a restaurant, have people know who I was, and bring me what I wanted to drink, and for the most part, know what I wanted to eat. I got that from a series of books written by a guy named Stuart Woods, whose main character is Stone Barrington. Now, Stone Barrington is a super rich lawyer who gets himself into all kind of adventures, but he and his friend Dino, who at this juncture is the police commissioner of New York City. That's pretty lofty. Well, early on in the stories, they were always going to this restaurant called Elaine's. And Elaine, who owned the restaurant, which seemed to make sense, always had their drinks ready for them as soon as they walked in because they went there all the time. So she already had them pre-made by someone else so that they could bring the drinks over to the table as soon as they got there. And they almost always got the same meal. And if they had specials, of course, Elaine would show up and she'd sit at the table and tell them about the specials. But they knew that was their table. So nothing got by anybody. They knew that was their table. They got treated like royalty because they were always there. And I wanted that. So probably back in 2012, I decided I was going to start trying to see if I could find restaurants to go to where they knew me. And I found one. It was called Pier 57. It's no longer there. Well, it's there, but someone else owns it and they changed the name. But these people knew who I was. So initially, I always ordered the same thing, which was this mini pizza that they made themselves. They weren't a pizza joint, so they could only make a small pizza, and it was a thin crust, and it was really good. The thing is, I didn't necessarily go there only for the pizza. I went there because it was a comfortable environment. They all knew my name. They knew what I wanted to drink. They would come and check on me. Every once in a while, they would sit down at the table and talk to me. And I liked that. And so at a certain point, I decided to expand that. So now I have a different favorite restaurant, but I have other restaurants. I have 2 breakfast restaurants. I have a dinner restaurant. I have a Chinese restaurant, and I have my favorite. So in essence, I have 5 restaurants where if I walk in there, every single time, folks are going to automatically bring over what I want to drink. And in a couple of places, they're going to bring over what I want to eat because I order the exact same thing every single time. That's one of the breakfast restaurants, by the way, where I order the exact same thing every time I go, which is 2 eggs, bacon, and they alternate between 3 pieces and 6 pieces, depending on who's in the back, and this raisin cinnamon toast, these nice, big, thick slices of raisin cinnamon toast, and they always bring me 2. And you know, it's one of those kind of things that, I led with that story because a friend of mine named Dr. Imad Rahim put out a podcast. It was actually interviewed by someone else. And one of the things he said was it's hard to call yourself an expert or an authority on something if nobody knows you're around. So you have to work on the publicity. You have to kind of work on, getting people to know who you are so you can get that out there. One of the things I've tried to do with my blogging and these videos is to get my name out there. I kind of want to be that. I've mentioned before that my long range goal is to be a professional speaker and be able to kind of travel around the United States talking to people and doing things like that. I'm already a consultant, so I get to do a little bit of traveling when I have someone who can stay with mom for a while, but it's not the same thing. That is one of those kind of situations where you go somewhere and you're kind of there for a week and you do all these other kind of things. I used to be even longer than that. I was in Memphis for 18 months back and forth. But a speaker is different because you could be in 3 or 4 different cities in 4 or 5 days. And that, I want to do that. Not that I want to go travel so I can go sightseeing or whatever, because truthfully, that's never been anything I've wanted to do. But I would love to travel the United States, do my speaking engagements, and then come back home. Speakers can get paid fairly nice money. I'm never going to reach the $1 million club, but maybe the 100,000 club wouldn't depress me. But the thing is that you need people to know who you are so that you can benefit from things like this. Of course, I know some people really don't want to do that. They just want to do their thing. They're hoping to get rich, but they don't want to be noticed. My wife is kind of like that. She would love to be rich, but she doesn't want anyone to know it. I said, what happens if you win the lottery one of these days? She says, then it's going to go in your name. I'm not going to be in the picture. Just make sure. You know, that's very trusting of her. You know, there's been stories. There's even a local story a bunch of years ago where this guy won the lottery, and then he immediately asked his wife immediately asked for a divorce, but she got half of the winnings. That's cold-blooded, if you ask me, but it happens. So this is that question. You know, I put this out every once in a while where I say, you know, people say they want this or that in their lives. They want these big things. But do you want to be known? Are you willing to try to do what you need to do in order to get known? Is that something you really want? And so that's my question to you. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. I want to know your thoughts on this restaurant thing that I do. I got to tell you, to me, this is the life of Riley. If I had maybe 3 or 4 other restaurants that I could visit and have that same type of thing, life would be sweet. Of course, then you have to put it in a planner so you know how to get to all of them so they remember you, but that's a story for another time. My name is Mitch Mitchell. I hope you have a wonderful day.